live on the mics. Okay. Are y'all ready to go and you can hear us okay? Okay. Tennesseans good? All right. All right. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today for CEO, if you will, Media Roundtable. And what we're really trying to talk about today is fall break that's coming up in just a couple weeks. The objective today is to highlight to all of you what we have done over the last couple of months to prepare for the fall break surge that we're anticipating. And in context of history, if you look at what's happened in Nashville and especially at the International Airport, in the last 11 years, we have broken our record. And we're going to break our record again this October. And the experts that are on this panel with me are going to help illustrate that to you. So fall break for us, you'll see in a little bit, is October 3rd through the October 21st. You're going to see a surge period in the number of counties that are going out on fall break during that time period. But the experts that will introduce themselves in just a minute will show you exactly how you can stay informed, or the public can stay informed, using our website, our social media, or our text message services. In the end, we're hoping that the key points that the public will take out of here is, if you're departing, we'd like you to arrive early, give yourself a little more time to park. If you're picking up somebody that's arriving at the airport, we want you to make sure you check the website, the flight's on time, that you're not getting here early and adding to the congestion at that point. In average, when an airplane lands, it takes it about 10 minutes to taxi to the gate, and then it takes another 10 or so minutes to walk to the front of the airport. So you don't really need to be here for an arriving flight 10 to 20 minutes later. But we're here to help the public. We think we're ready and prepared. And I'm going to turn it over to our Chief Operating Officer, Adam Floyd, that's going to take you through what he and his team have done to prepare for this. And we look forward to questions at the end. So if you got questions, think about them right now, and then we'll answer them at the very end. Adam?
All right, good afternoon. I am Adam Floyd, the Chief Operating Officer here at Metropolitan Nashville Airport Authority. My role here is to oversee the operations and Department of Public Safety teams and ensure that we have a safe and efficient airport 24/7, 365 days a year. Most passengers are under the impression that Thanksgiving and Christmas are two peak times here at the airport. Fall break is actually our peak period for Nashville International Airport. So at BNA, we're always preparing for the unexpected. Year after year, we continue to have a peak travel period, which is fall break, where we see an influx of passengers with record-breaking passenger numbers. This is a unique year where the week of October 7th, we have 9 counties and 3 universities all on the spring or our fall break at the same time, the week of October 7th. Our teams work year-round to prepare for fall break. Months prior, our operations team and Department of Public Safety teams begin projecting and forecasting to proactively plan and ensure that we continue to deliver a top-notch customer experience during our peak travel season, which is fall break. We have staff working at BNA 24/7 to ensure our operational efficiency, and during this peak period, we have increased on-site staff to our maximum capacity to accommodate the influx of passengers that we're expecting next month. Our M&A staff will do everything in our power to provide a seamless and unique BNA travel experience we strive, which includes our customer service team, which is working 24/7 to support our passengers any way that they can during fall break. Passengers can visit our information desk located on level 1 in the terminal, and we'll have a team of people ready to assist with any questions passengers may have. We'd like to remind passengers to check their flight status before arriving at BNA, and if you see any delays or impacts to your flights, contact the airline directly for the latest updates to get information about your flight. Although fall break will be busy at BNA, we are prepared and we are excited to welcome our travelers through our doors. Next, I would like to introduce our Vice President of Operations, Mr. Adam Bouchard.
Thank you, Adam. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to spend a few minutes talking a little bit about the work our team has been doing over the past many months in preparation for really what is our Super Bowl here at BNA. It's our busiest time of year. We don't take it lightly, and we work really hard to make sure that experience is aligned with what our community and our visitors expect of our airport. As already mentioned, our busiest days of this fall break period are generally going to be those first 3 weekends. And as a point of context, on an average day, we see about 30,000 passengers through our security checkpoint, or about 60,000 people in and out of the airport. On our peak days, we're looking to see as many as 47,000 passengers through our security checkpoint, or the better part of 94,000 passengers through our building. So needless to say, it will be busy, but we are ready. Part of the planning that we do is to ensure that everything in the journey that the customer experience is seamless as possible. And I'll talk just about a few things that have changed maybe since some of our travelers have been through BNA. Since last October, if you arrive at BNA on Interstate 40 eastbound, we've added a lane from Interstate 40 all the way up to the terminal. And although our roadway work will continue for some time to come, this added lane will no doubt provide a faster and smoother experience for our passengers coming in on 40 eastbound. Similarly, for guests coming from communities on 40 westbound, it's important to note that the Donaldson Pike exit, which will get you to the airport, has moved. So it's important to keep an eye out for that exit about a half a mile earlier than you might be used to seeing it. As travelers contemplate the smoothest way for you to get to BNA, we greatly encourage passengers to consider alternate modes of transportation, including rideshare, public transportation, or even private transportation. Although we have more than 17,000 parking spaces across our campus, which is about 1,000 more than we had last year, because of so many school districts being on fall break at the same time, there's no doubt our parking is going to be stretched. So we encourage people to think now about the best way for you to get to and from BNA. And if you're picking someone up and arrive before your party is on the curb ready for pickup, we strongly encourage drivers to use the airport's cell phone waiting lot or the airport's free 30-minute parking available in Terminal Garage 1. It cannot be emphasized enough, please get to the airport early if you are departing and flying out, at least 2 hours before departure for domestic and 3 hours for international. Though we work exceptionally hard to make sure your journey is quick and easy, it is very possible that unexpected slowdowns can occur, and if you give yourself more time, you're going to be less stressed. Finally, for travelers with hidden disabilities, the airport was thrilled to roll out our Sunflower Lanyard program this summer, which is a worldwide program for travelers to identify themselves as having a hidden disability. These free lanyards are available from our information desk and our customer service staff on the ground floor of the terminal, and it helps to allow airport staff to provide some extra comfort and care for those traveling through the airport. As we transition from summer to fall, weather, of course, changes too, and with that can come a number of various air traffic control programs. And I want to take just a brief moment to clarify that the Airport Authority does not issue or implement any type of ground delay or air traffic programs. These programs of metering flight activity, whether it's into Nashville or other airports, is solely the responsibility of the Federal Aviation Administration. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Chief Brian Finland to talk about the great work our Department of Public Safety does every day to ensure the safe movement of passengers and vehicles across our campus. Chief?
Chief, give me just 1 second. Sorry.
Thank you, Adam. Hello again. I'm Chief Brian Finland. I am the Chief of the Police Department, Department of Public Safety here at the Nashville International Airport. Our goal with the Department of Public Safety is to ensure smooth and secure experience for all of the passengers here that are visiting our airport. We are proud of nearly 100 officers that work with the Department of Public Safety. And a little known fact, all of our officers also serve as airport rescue firefighters and emergency medical responders. As part of the daily safety procedures, our officers will be actively patrolling all areas of the airport, including the terminal, parking lots, and the surrounding zones. The safety and security of our passengers is paramount, and our officers will be visible. You'll see officers in the terminal and on our airport roadways to ensure the safety of all. We are especially focused on optimizing traffic flow along Terminal Drive and onto Donaldson Pike, ensuring a more efficient departure for our passengers. Our staff has planned extensively for what will likely be historical flows through our airport, and our staff is ready to go. So we do ask a couple things. One, be patient. 2, be prepared. Be prepared for your departure drop-offs. Be as brief as possible as you're dropping off your loved ones. For arrivals, please don't enter the airport until your loved ones are ready. And as has been mentioned, it takes time to get from the aircraft to the curb. So if you could, wait in our parking lot, our cell phone parking area, or utilize our parking garages while those folks get ready. Circling and looping the airport has been a problem recently, and it does add to the congestion. So once again, we ask that people don't enter the airport until their loved ones are ready to go. As far as enhanced security measures, we've implemented heightened security protocols within the terminal, which includes increased surveillance and increased screening. We do have 1,600 cameras in the airport that are staffed and monitored 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We have extra officers who will be on site in the terminal on fall break, including our K-9 teams, who are crucially responsible for safeguarding our airport. We also maintain a close working relationship with Metro Fire and Metro Police, and if we need assistance at any time, we can certainly reach out if the need arises. Additionally, we are coordinating with our federal partners, such as the TSA, to maintain seamless and efficient security procedures at our airport. We do have an airport security plan, like all airports across the United States, that provides a roadmap for safety at our airport and a contingency plan as well to protect our passengers during peak traffic times such as this. Our commitment to safety and a positive experience at BNA is our goal. We want to make sure that the experience is positive for all. Our team is working diligently to ensure that this fall break season is a safe one and positive for all involved. Lastly, to our passengers, do not park at the curbside on any of our terminal roads. That creates a traffic backup, and we tend to see that as soon as the first person does it, another person will do it, and we end up with an issue relatively quickly. And lastly, we ask that our passengers be vigilant. Don't leave bags unattended. Please don't leave your cars unattended. And if you see anything suspicious, immediately report it to an officer or anybody with a security badge or an airline employee so we can get that issue taken care of quickly. Next, I'd like to turn it over to our partner at the TSA, Assistant Federal Security Director Ken Meyer.
Thank you, Chief. And thank you for being here this afternoon with us. You know, we've all mentioned the importance of passengers arriving early to the airport. Understand that air travel has seen unprecedented numbers, and obviously this airport is no different. So it's important that passengers understand to arrive at least 2 hours prior to boarding time. That allowance gives the passenger time to navigate the parking lots, shuttle buses, terminal building, and if required, check baggage at the airline ticket counters and also at the security checkpoint. Some travel tips for moving through the screening checkpoint include what TSA has called for many years the 311 rule. The 311 rule has to do with 3.4 ounces of liquid, gels, or aerosols in each item, and the ability to only have one bag and no larger than a 1-quart bag. You can see the information on the screen behind me. Acceptable identification is also critical to process efficiently and effectively through the checkpoint. The TSA website lists various identifications that are allowed through the security checkpoint. So passengers must understand what is proper. Most passengers use a driver's license or a state ID. This is critical to understand the importance of that to minimize travel time through the checkpoint. Also, passengers should be aware that TSA utilizes various screening equipment, not only at Nashville, of course, but around the country in several different airports. And we understand that travelers have anxiety as they go through the checkpoint, not understanding what our protocols are at times, and sometimes that's good for security. But for efficiency, sometimes that does create some issues for passengers. So they need to understand that even at Nashville, At certain lanes within the security checkpoint, there are different screening machines which require our TSA officers to utilize different protocols. And of serious note, Nashville International Airport is normally in the top 5 of all the airports in the United States with firearm fines at the checkpoint. So understand that frequency, which averages out to 3 or 4 per week, sometimes multiple firearm fines at the checkpoint, will slow things down at a certain location within that checkpoint. That's why we stress the importance of, when packing bags at home, start with an empty bag, completely empty it out. You're more apt to find prohibited items such as firearms in your bag. And finally, for additional passenger assistance, TSA has an excellent program called TSA Cares. Now, this provides an opportunity for passengers they may have certain medical conditions or disabilities that they need extra assistance at the checkpoint. The information on the slide behind me will give you an idea of the contact number as well to use for passengers to contact TSA Cares. So at this point, I'll turn the floor back over to our President and CEO, Mr. Doug Krulin.
Thank you, Ken, and all of the rest of our participants on this panel. We'd be glad to answer any questions that the media might have that you want to talk about fall break or anything else related to the airport.
I want to just one question on mine because I'll forget quickly.
Sure.
I'm Nicky with Channel 4.
Okay.
The guns, 3 a week. I just can't imagine that many people forgetting to not bring a firearm to the airport. That's a federal offense. That's federal court. I mean, that's going to take a lot of days out of your life. You know what I mean? Just going through the process. I had a friend of mine who was an idiot and did the same thing, and he had to go to Atlanta. And can you speak to that and why people do that?
Well, 99% of the people that we have say.
Like our microphones right here. There's no mouth box. We can only hear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Almost every passenger that we experience that comes through the security checkpoint with a firearm says they forget that it's in there. And so we like to believe that all those people are not trying to slip a firearm to do harm in the airport or in the aircraft cabin. So it is amazing that Nashville has been in the top 5 for many, many years. And there's sometimes, as I said earlier, that we have multiple firearms on a single day. And of course, there are civil penalties that the federal government will enact on the individual based on if it is loaded or not loaded and how they're carrying it. 90% of the firearms that come through our checkpoint are loaded. And the chief can talk to what may or may not happen with that individual. That federal government's not involved in. Don't understand that TSA is not a law enforcement agency. So we require the assistance and need the assistance of the Airport Authority Department of Public Safety when that issue happens.
What makes Nashville so high on that list?
Well, in my opinion, I'm originally from New York. So if you bring a firearm through the checkpoint in any of the New York airports, you're most likely going to jail quickly. Here, it's the state laws are different in Tennessee. And there are many states that have constitutional carry that don't require training, and Tennessee became one of those states last year as far as no training required. So again, the state laws are different.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Chief.
And just to follow up, just like was mentioned, on each and every case, we'll have a member of our Department of Public Safety respond to the checkpoint, investigate fully and thoroughly investigate through what that circumstance involved. And in that situation, those reports will be reviewed by the District Attorney of Davidson County. In many circumstances, I can echo what was mentioned. In many circumstances, the common response is, I didn't know it was in there, and there are some elements of legitimacy to those excuses, people just in a hurry getting ready. So I can't echo enough. Start with an empty bag. We don't want our Department of Public Safety to get involved in a potential criminal issue involving our passengers who are just trying to get to their destination. But it does pose safety risks, and anything that we can do in advance to bring attention to that would be much appreciated.
And then as a gun owner, I follow what the chief and Ken are saying from TSA. So I start with an empty bag every time because I don't want to be the CEO carrying a weapon through the checkpoint, because that won't end up well on the media. But that's great advice. So even though I traveled for many years, when I start out, every suitcase, every backpack that I'm taking on that airplane, I empty it out, every pocket, to make sure that I don't have a knife or a weapon or something like that. So that's great advice. Thank you all. Other questions? Yeah.
There's some rideshare drivers that have been asking for improved facilities here at the airport. Has there been any discussion about making any changes to the rideshare area or facilities for those drivers?
So first of all, the rideshare drivers don't work for the airport authority. Our agreement is with the transportation network companies, Uber and Lyft. So we have engaged, our operations team has engaged directly with Uber and Lyft to let them know that they need to negotiate with the contractors that are driving for them. And we've told the same thing to the Uber and Lyft drivers, that they need to reach back out to the person that's providing them with the platform and negotiate it.
I mean more about the facilities here, not the...
So the facilities on the airport are for our use, and we have an agreement with Uber and Lyft, not with the individual drivers, to provide them with a holding lot. Uber and Lyft have chosen not to provide them with other facilities in that holding lot.
Uber and Lyft manage that?
They should. We provide it as a courtesy, and they have tended to destroy anything that's been provided. So that's why we're taking our discussions back with Uber and Lyft, the company themselves. And then lastly, on the drivers, we're about moving, people through the roadways into the airport and then into the airspace side of the house. So we have made it very clear to the Uber and Lyft drivers that we're not going to permit them to block roads and prevent traffic from accessing the airport, because that's a federal requirement to move them through. So we keep our roads open, and we will allow Uber and Lyft access to our holding lots so that they can pick up passengers, which is a convenience to them. If that doesn't work out, then we could possibly just let them move off to somewhere else in the state of Tennessee before they get a ride. Yeah.
That would cause some backups, wouldn't it?
No, Uber and Lyft don't have designated holding areas for all the picking up downtown or throughout the state. So we're a large volume area, so you can pick up a ride from anywhere. Uber and Lyft have requested that to speed the delivery, to use our 120 space lot to be able to queue them up so that they can respond faster. But if we have problems with them blocking traffic or the flow, then we may not give them access to that. So they would have to hold off airport property, which could be a mile away or 2 miles away. So,
wouldn't that lead to thousands of people a day walking a mile up the street?
No, they would still be able to pick up. We would not allow them to hold on our airport property if they were going to start to block traffic. So you would still come to our ground transportation center to pick them up. But our main concern is the flow. We get about 3,000 vehicles an hour on each of those levels, and we need to keep those cars moving. We can't afford to allow them to stop. Yes?
For context purposes, you guys were saying that this fall break period is to be higher than some of the holiday periods. Can you guys give any numbers as like a comparison between the two periods, or where is that coming from?
So can we back up to that one slide? So every day, TSA provides our operations team with data that comes from a system called Secure Flight. So we know by hour how many people are arriving or departing the international airport. So there's a total to that. And as Adam B. was mentioning here, we normally average about 60,000 passengers a day at 24 million a year. And so on a couple of these days, we're going to be 90 plus thousand. Everybody believes that Christmas or Thanksgiving is the higher, but more families tend to drive to Thanksgiving or Christmas versus just fly. But spring break, fall break, CMA Bonnaroo's are the peaks that we can give you a chart throughout every day of the year that show you where the peaks and valleys are going to be.
And from a security standpoint, does that change? Like, do you guys have to do more security in certain spots because people might try to do certain things because of the numbers, or?
I think, the facility that we just finished building on BNA Vision, we're at 54 gates today. We're going to 70 gates. The number of passengers that we have in there today is 24 million. So it's designed to hold 35 million. So when we see surges like that, the facility is big enough to do that, but just for safety and security purposes, TSA will add additional officers, our police department will add additional officers, just so the passengers can feel comfortable that there's an adequate number of experts out there to assist them. Yes, sir.
Well, you were talking about the traffic going around the airport, and I've noticed this because I travel some, and plus just coming out of your stories. You used to be able to just drive around, no problem at all, but now it seems like there's even a backup out there. And I noticed you mentioned earlier that people just drive around and around. Is there any way that you guys can control that?
Well, we don't have gates, or waste. It is a public road. It is on our property. What we've really tried to do is educate them what that does to us. So, the loop is a mile oval. It's 2 lanes wide. It's going to a 2-mile oval that's 6 lanes wide. That's what all the construction that you see going on. So we're going to triple the size of the road network. The staff just finished modeling of that to be able to handle 40 million vehicles a year, coming from Nashville or all different parts of state of Tennessee. So the road network is going to get beefed up. We have received critiques from people that use the cell phone lot at times and say it's too far away. Well, if you drive 3 times around the loop, that's as far away as the cell phone lot. And the biggest one that we try to tell them is when mom or dad or your son or daughter land, they're on the ground about 10 to 12 minutes before they ever get to the gate. And then once they get to the gate, it takes time to open the door and then walk to the curb. So you don't have to be sitting on the curb waiting for them because they're still taxiing to the terminal, or then they have to walk from gate C26 all the way to the front. So if you're sitting at the the cell phone waiting lot or at Wendy's across Donaldson or somewhere, when they tell you that they've arrived, they've got their bag and they're walking to the front door, drive up. And about that time, you'll hit them at the right point, pick them up, and go. If you stop, imagine if there's 47,000 people leaving and 47,000 coming in, and everybody stops on that curb waiting for a relative or family member, we're going to have a traffic problem. So our job here is to keep that flow moving and try to educate the public to just keep that in mind when they're arriving.
Is the morning which is busier, at night or in the morning?
So with the traffic modeling we just did, I think both of the experts here on my right, Adam, would tell you that the morning is a surge, but Sunday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. is our peak hour, peak, day of the week, because of everybody having a good time in Nashville and they want to go home or arrive. So we can plot it by hour. There are surges throughout the day. There's like 3 surges, 6 to 7 a.m. or 5 to 7 a.m. Then there's a midday, and then there's an afternoon launch. But Sundays are our biggest challenging day for us in that early evening time period. Yep.
It's good for me too, because I'm from 19th.
Well, you can call us and we'll tell you what it looks like that hour. Yes.
One of the last times I I saw you, you were sitting next to the mayor, and the conversation was about people getting out of cars and walking on the interstate. Has that changed any? Has it gotten better?
Yeah.
Do we need to put another call out to tell people don't do it again? I mean, how is all that coming?
Well, that was in October, I believe, of last year. So we're right at the 12-month point because the mayor invited us there in October, and we got to come back at his December press conference as well to explain what we're doing for the holiday period. Since that time period, we've spent about, I think it's $3.6 million to add the second lane that Adam Bouchard was talking about. So from the minute you get off of 216A, right there by the BNA monument, we've widened that road to 2 lanes all the way to the front of the terminal. That takes 1,800 cars per hour per lane. So we doubled that capacity. So we're not seeing it back up on Interstate 40. I would still tell you that the people that got out of their car, that was a bad call, because I know traffic is a challenge once in a while, but I've never been able to walk 1.5 miles and beat what traffic would have done. The other one too is, as we talked about, and maybe we can do another press conference sometime on show you all the traffic models that we've built. We can go now 25 million, 30 million, 35 million, 40 million, and see where the roads are going to tend to break. One of our assignments going in north of 300 or 30 million to 40 million is, where do the roads break? Because we need to go to TDOT and have them build us a bigger exit loop to leave the airport. And they can help us by adding a decision lane coming into the airport. But we haven't sold that to them yet, but we're about to do that real soon.
What was the creative parking that was mentioned?
So the chief is a great law enforcement guy. Both of these gentlemen are great rule followers, but in the creative parking is, if we got a curb and we can put you in there or park, you can pretty much get in there and park. But our operations team has, we have extra gravel lots that we tend not to park people in, but there's several spaces that we know that if it gets to max capacity, that we can give ourselves a little bit of relief and add another 900 parking space in there, but it's not the normal level of service that we generally try to provide to the visitors or travelers.
What's the best thing that's happened in the last year, you think, since we've been in
The best thing that's happened in last year? Having all these experts join us on the press conference, but I would say the work that the board has done with the future planning. So we have a board retreat coming up in October on the 16th. And we did a BNA Vision 1 and a BNA Vision 2. And now we have New Horizon 1 and New Horizon 2 plus a terminal coming. So the amount of investments that we're making in brain power and future dollars to make this airport bigger and better is probably the biggest success story. Other items?
There's been some new destinations added by our airlines in the last year. Does that add to the issues of how many people are going to come in and out of here?
Yeah, the beautiful part about Nashville International is we get travelers from all 95 counties that fly out of our airport. Out of that 24 million, a little over 3 million plus come from Kentucky, and another million come from Alabama. And the reason they're coming here is because we're a low-cost airport, we're a very efficient airport, and we offer more nonstops than any airport within 200 or 300 miles of here. And so as that comes in, the airlines know we have a very low, what's called cost per employment, what they pay us to operate out of here. And they make more money when they're flying in out of Nashville, because they make more money than they give you another Indianapolis flight or another Dallas flight or a California flight. So we're expecting, over the next few weeks and months to add more or announce some more nonstops as we go. Yes, ma'am.
Has there been any progress in convincing the FAA of the need to add a longer runway for those direct flights to Asia?
Sure. Both of the Adams to my right made a trip to Washington, D.C. within the last month, and that resulted in the Washington, D.C. executives from the FAA visiting us last Friday. So as we finished up our staff retreat on Friday at noon, we hosted I think it was about 12 or 13 executives from Washington, D.C. from the FAA office to talk about the future of just BNA. Because as BNA gets bigger, they're going to improve our departure procedures and arrival procedures. They're going to do a better job of expanding and protecting our airspace. They want to build a new air traffic control tower to handle the volume of traffic. And then they're going to help us possibly lengthen one of our runways. And it's a team affair there. But their work in Washington, D.C., and then the work that happened last Friday here at the airport bodes well for the state of Tennessee and the city of Nashville in terms of the services that we're getting. Yes, sir.
Quick question. You were talking about expansion and with the restaurant now closed, with the cell phone lot across the street, is that BNA or is that Metro, since Metro has offices over there? Is anything going to happen to that plan anytime soon, or is it something in the
Sure.
future?
Yeah. So first of all, in close to the terminal, that 1 mile oval is going to grow to 2 mile oval, 2 lanes to 6 lanes. All of that property that Metro's on is airport property. So they're renting those buildings and that space from us. Where Genesco used to be, if the FAA gives us permission to lengthen the runway and they select that as the runway of choice, we will have to lower Murfreesboro Road, move the runway across put another tunnel in. You already drive under our center runway. You'd have to drive under another tunnel for that westernmost runway. At that point, those buildings that Metro is in, they would need to move to alternate locations. Their lease with us, we have to give them a 2-year notice. So once we think we're getting close to, construction or doing something, Director Crumbo in the finance department is already looking for where would they move Metro Southeast services. So they'll start building in the next few years, but we've not given them notice yet because we still have to do the environmental reviews.
So it's the property with the restaurant that if anything's expand, that will take care of that as well?
Yeah, the restaurant won't be coming back, so that's gone. And when we resolve the historical nature of that building or not, then we'll move on from there. But we have to wait on the federal government at this point and state government.
Are there homes in that footprint?
There, when you go, where Genesco was, and then the Metro Southeast, I think there's 19 parcels that are over there that the airport authority doesn't own. And so if the runway is extended into that, then we would have to follow an FAA prescribed procedure to purchase that property. The beauty of that process is that it's not where you just evict them. It's not where you pay them bottom dollar or anything like that. You have to relocate that purchase the property, and then relocate them to a house of similar nature, even if it costs you more money. So I personally believe we're not looking to evict anybody or tear it down, but at some point down the road, we would like to purchase that property.
Has there been engagement with this?
No, we can't engage until the FAA gives us permission. So they have to do what's called an environmental impact statement. And that's a 2-year process that started to begin a little bit, maybe March of this year. So hopefully it goes faster than that. And at the conclusion of that, then they will deem us either permission granted or denied kind of thing. And then we'll move into the rest of the process after that. But it's not happening tonight. It ain't happening next week or 7 months from now. It's going to take a while. Yeah.
The Today Show, you see out the news during special on air traffic controller crisis.
Yeah.
Has that affected you guys any here at BNA?
Well, the FAA should really address, that crisis, nature. What I would say is 2 things. One, we run 2 airports, John Tune and Nashville International. At John Tune, we paid to build a tower over there, and we hire contract tower operators to make that more safe. So John Toon is a safe airport. It has its own control tower, and it handles almost 100,000 planes a year. Over here, we're doing north of 300,000 airplanes, a year out of this airport. And the reason the FAA officials came down here on Friday is they're responsible for air traffic, they're responsible for noise, they're responsible for environmental, and they gave us some very positive news that Nashville is very high on the FAA's list in terms of resources. So we're getting more controllers headed this way. In fact, they've asked the three of us to help them build a simulator so that they can train new controllers on our property and then just move them up into the tower. So we have some good work with them, but I think there'll be a lot of airport and FAA involvement together over the next couple months. Yeah, somebody else had a question, I think. Okay, nope. Martin, you don't have any questions? Okay. All right, anything from Tennessee? All right, did we mess anything up?
Sounded great.
Okay, we're good to go. All right, well, thank y'all. If you got any more, we'll be around for just a few minutes. Thank y'all. That's right. You want us down in front?
Yeah, just right in front, please.